Okay, was that crazy time again? Trinidad and Tobago football, Trinidad and Tobago professional football league, whatever they're calling themselves these days. I just fed up with these people. Let us begin with the coverage. This has been a constant problem for people who are far from games or out of the country. We didn't have that many problems the last 2 years for live feed. Sometimes, okay, it was kind of bad in 2023, got a lot better in 24. It was consistent live feeds, FIFA Plus and so on. Sports Max and Life was good. Very few games on a live feed for this season. No explanation. They don't give a damn. Once or twice, even advertise a game which didn't come. Let me start off with Wave TV. Wave TV has made some kind of an effort to promote local football, which is more than any of the other TV stations. Let me start off with the bad and then the good. The bad is coverage could have been better. That scoreboard they have in the corner was taking up plenty space. There are times when there was no feed. They said the reason there was no feed was the connection in the area was bad. I want to know how come the other people who do this don't have a problem with the connection in the area and on the same grounds. But that's what they tell us. And there was something else that went on. Oh, one camera. So the fellow was like all over the place like he drunk, and then what he did, he pan wide, and or he zoomed out, I should say, and you couldn't really see football on the far side of the field. And when they turned on the lights, you could see it a little better. I do not blame Wave TV at all. Let me explain why. They can't get ads. They did it on an act of good faith, hoping advertisers would step forward. And advertisers didn't really step forward because apparently selling the PFL is not that easy a deal. Therefore, Wave took most of their resources and focused elsewhere. They brought one camera. Can't blame them for that. And I do, however, admire them and thank them for trying, for making an effort. It is more than I see the other TV stations in Trinidad and Tobago doing. I've said this before. I'll say it really quickly. Set up something on the web, pay people a pay-per-view. I have no problem with that. We that stupid will pay to watch Trinidad football on the net when I can watch UFA for free on my TV. The other thing is we have a lot of new TV stations in Trinidad. Why not have 2 or 3 stations come together, give the PFL some money and show games, or don't give them money, just share the advertising revenue with them. It's an idea. Obviously, it's not easy to sell the PFL. It'll probably be easier for me to watch secondary school football in Trinidad abroad than the PFL. But there's a market out there. There are foreigners, 3 or 4 Europeans who have contacted me who want to take in PFL games when they go home. They have an interest in Trinidad and Tobago football because of the 06 World Cup. I'm frightened to give them info because the information from the PFL is inconsistent and they don't really answer emails. I saw I don't know what you call it, a schedule at the beginning of the season. And that schedule is nonsense because there are no midweek matches. There are no midweek matches. They want to play all the matches on a long weekend, which is fine. But that schedule is rubbish and they bothered to release a new schedule for the season and showing everybody. Nope, they haven't. We will figure it out in the ESP, read papers. These people want to plan their holidays. And I told them to contact the PFL and good luck getting a response. I hope they do. This is how you market and brand a league. People have an interest, believe it or not. I am shocked, but I'm glad. And think about it too. We have a lot of Guyanese and other Caribbean people playing in the league. People want to follow their players. I don't think the PFL understands this. And I hope they can work out a live feed. So Wave TV, thank you for trying. If you give up, I don't blame you. Well, even when we have a live feed, and listen, they kill my spirit. If you don't know what that means, it means my enthusiasm is dead. Last week, Friday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, they actually brought 2 games live. They didn't tell anybody anything. It was on FIFA Plus from Sports Max. I stopped checking on Sports Max because they never have a Trinidad match. I did check 2 days before the game. There was no live feed. And somebody just 2 minutes into a match sent me a link and said, look, there's a live feed on FIFA Plus. And I was in shock. 4 consecutive hours of football, 2 matches. We were never informed. And while the 4 hours of football was going on, the PFL didn't bother to put up a post on their Facebook page. I checked Sports Max Facebook page, no news. I checked PFL and TTPFL page, no news. I guess we're watching football by guess now. So I'm very grateful to the person who gave me the link. I put the link up on my page immediately, and I guess some people watch the football. I mean, what the hell going on, man? You can't get a link. Then you get a link and you don't tell us you have a link. And certainly during those 4 hours of football, were you not aware that your football was being shown for free on FIFA Plus? Anyway, as I said, I give up with these people. I no longer make excuses. I try not to cuss because they pull off a video of mine on YouTube for that. But this is what Trinidad and Tobago football does to you. So, maybe we'll get a feed one day and maybe they'll tell us. I don't know. I don't know what to say. What I can tell you. Talking about the PFL standings, let's take a look at the PFL standings. And lastly, whoa, what happened here? Lastly, I'm just going to wrap this up with some internationals Trinidad has been playing recently. We had a 2-match game against Jamaica. Both teams ran basically a second string team. Great chance for Dwight York to get some work done, see some players in action. Doesn't really mean anything other than we got some work done and got to see what the team offers. Some nice short passing, some nice corners. And I hate to judge Dwight on this because they've given him such a limited international program. I do want to remind people we have a lot of options to beef us up front. We have a guy called Justin Obiku who's playing 4th tier in England for Grimsby Town. He's scoring goals. We've got Dantai Gilbert, who is playing 2nd division in Holland. We have a fellow called Dante Seeley, a wonderful player who's played for America under 15, under 17, under 20, but I have the impression he's holding out for the USA senior team. And we've got, of course, if I remember the name correctly, Tyrese Spicer, the number 1 MLS draft, or MSL draft, and he is playing with Toronto FC. So if you look at Spicer, if you look at Gilbert, it's a really, really nice addition to Levi Garcia. So that's something to look forward to, certainly. And maybe we can get this guy Dante Seeley to give us a look-see, hopefully. So that's it for Trinidad and Tobago football. Hopefully our FA can get some internationals going. The under-17 team went into their final game against host Costa Rica, needing to score a goal to hopefully qualify for the under-17 World Cup. Nobody expected them to really beat Costa Rica in Costa Rica. And I tell you something, they came close. What really let both teams down was they underperformed against Guyana, both teams drawing with Guyana. You have to give Guyana some credit, and you might say, why bother about Guyana? Well, Guyana has money now. They're going to spend money on their program, and that's another country for us to have to struggle with in the future. It was the usual case of not really being well prepared. We went in there and did well under the circumstances. It's a tired story over the last 25, 30 years. And what can I say? We saw some players of promise, and it's the usual nonsense, be it under 15, 17, 20, etc. We have some good performances despite the lack of proper preparation. And I'm not even going to say what we should do. We all know what we should do. We don't have Jack Warner's money to subsidize incompetence or a lack of planning anymore. So we really need to plan well. And a lot of that has to go with funding. A lot of that has to go with working with the Trinidad and Tobago government, which means a competent, transparent FA. And if you're not competent and transparent, no one wants to be associated with you. So hopefully we'll be on a break now with the PFL. Looking forward to some good football in the second half of the season. Looking forward to the teams beefing up their sides and maybe not just improving and giving Defence Force a good run for their money, but looking at the underdogs like Phoenix, Eagles, and Prisons to create some upsets. So that's it. Trinidad and Tobago football, TTPFL, over and out. So these videos are running too long. I'm going to have to put a separate video for the PFL standings and give a commentary on that. Talking too much. But also I'll be uploading to YouTube. Okay, so we're looking at the league table here. As we can see, Defence Force is in first place with 33 points. Very distant is Central FC with 24, and then just behind them, Police with 22. Personally, I'm a little surprised to see Police there. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Defence Force, 11 victories on the trot. Everybody's very impressed. No doubt that Defence Force is doing a fine job. I think we also have to accept the fact that maybe the rest of the opposition, with the exception of 2 or 3 clubs, is not that amazing. It's obviously Rangers is a very underperforming team. Point Fortin needs to be beefed up. Eagles and Prisons have been having problems since they started this league. And Post 76, Phoenix, they can't play a home match. So it is, already against these teams, you're more or less always the favorite for points. Good for Defence Force. And let's talk about a few things. This is the mid-season. And I think it's about, if you look at Central, Samoa, and Port of Spain, I think these are the favorites. Despite Police's position, these are the favorites to be between 2nd and 4th. And I think Caledonia could give them a good run for their money. Obviously, I have underrated Police, and they're not doing that badly. Central FC has come a long way, and they have beefed up their squad. They've got John Paul Rushford amongst others, and they're doing very well. Police, despite losing a bunch of players, they lost Kevin Molino, they've lost Alvin Jones. They got rid of some other players. A lot of players last year who were over 30, but really performing. Karen Cummings, for example. Kadeen Highland. They lost all of these guys. And but they still got Jovin Jones. They still got their goalkeeper Fonset. And to be honest, I'm kind of surprised that Police is doing that well. Honest with you. Usually when clubs lose a bunch of players who make a difference, it takes a while to fill the void unless they bring over players like that. But these clubs are usually relying on their youngsters. Samoa took a break, and Samoa has brought in some players, and they are playing a good brand of football. I noticed Jehu Fostin is back, Marvin Fostin's son. I'm ready. Want to keep an eye on this fellow because I believe he's a player for the future. AC Port of Spain. This was a club I thought was odds-on favorite for the top two as they were in the last 2 seasons. But they have sold a bunch of players in the space of 30 days. They said goodbye to Dwayne Muckett, to Shea Benny, and to, of course, John Paul Rushford. This is a hell of a void to fill. You either have to bring over players of comparative ability or rely on youngsters. And it's no coincidence that since then, AC Port of Spain's performances have fell off. They have really fell off. And, mid-season can be very strange. There can be an influx of players and all of a sudden clubs start performing. Mova has really improved since their first season. In their second season, they were being hammered. Then mid-season, they got some purchases, really performed well in the second half of the season. And they have maintained that sort of trajectory. They brought in players from Guyana, even Cuba. And I believe they have a Haitian as well. And they're doing okay. And I believe Mofa is a dark horse for the top 4, top 3. Now, as you know, the first and second, the first club is automatically in the CFU Championships. And the second and third, they do the playoffs for the CFU Championships. So there's a lot riding on the first 3 spots. Okay? Club Sando, in the space of 1 year, they had to sell Nathaniel James. He went to the Jamaican League. They got rid of Real Gill, and also Alvin Jones went to Police. And that has been a void for Club Sando. They have never been able to fill that void. Again, you can have youngsters, but it takes a while for them to get going. The other clubs, I just don't have the firepower. The one exception would have to be La Haukita Rangers, certainly the underachiever of this league. 2 years ago, this club looked like they were the odds-on favorite to do everything. They had everything going for them. An owner with money, good preparation, good players. But if memory serves me correctly, they came 4th in 2023, 5th or 6th last year in 24. And right now, they are languishing in 8th position. They were even doing worse than that. They got 10 points. I don't think these guys are going to make the top 4. But what they can do is really, hyper leap and at least finish in a creditable top 6, perhaps even top 5. Who knows? Things do happen. Let's look at the bottom of the table. Eagles FC was pulling off some upsets in the second half of last season. I was hoping they could do that again. They have been struggling. Prisons, they had pulled off 1 or 2 upsets, but I think we can expect Prisons and Eagles to do what they did last year, which is to bring up the rear. So back to Defence Force again. They look like the odds-on favorite to win the league. I believe they will win the league. I believe we might have a false impression of how good Defence Force is because the rest of the opposition is not really pushing them. And this might show up when they play the CFU Championships. As you know, Defence Force did reasonably well in the CFU Championships in 23-24. They were never outplayed, but they were never able to do enough to make it to the second round. Right now, we're looking at Central Police and Samoa. Again, all playing good football. And hopefully they can represent us well. Central has a rich history in the CFU Championship. So does Defence Force, a 3-time CONCACAF club champion. So I'm hoping, these guys can beef up and do really well. I'm looking forward to the second half of the season, and hopefully we'll see some good top-notch competitive football. Tough luck for Club Sando that started off well 2 years ago, but obviously selling your top players and waiting on your youths to fill the void is not getting the job done. Police, on the other hand, they got rid of some very, very decent players who were contributing. Understandable, they were over 30. You want to give youngsters a chance. And I haven't seen a lot of Police's games, but obviously they're doing something right because they're in third position. So I'm looking at Samoa to really give everybody a good run for their money, as well as Central FC. AC Port of Spain, who knows? Mid-season things happen. People make purchases. So let's see what happens in this second half of the season. We really don't know. And as I said, Mova Caledonia, that is my dark horse for finishing in the top 4 and maybe even top 3. Things are happening at Mova. They're making purchases. They have players who are contributing. They're not a Defence Force, but they are on an upward trajectory. If you remember correctly, 2023 was horrendous for them. 2024 first half of the season, terrible. But they have been improving. So has Samoa, so has Central. So expect some competitive football between about 4 clubs for the second and third spot